So you think you know the folks living down in Bikini Bottom, the happy-go-lucky sponge, the lazy starfish, the perpetually grumpy squid. For more than 2 decades, they've been a staple of our cartoon-watching lives, a vibrant and goofy escape into a world of nautical nonsense. But what if I told you that just beneath the sunny surface of that pineapple under the sea, there's a current of dark secrets, unsettling ideas, and psychological complexities that might just change how you see them forever? What if the characters we grew up with are not as simple as they seem? Today we're taking a deep, dark dive into every major character's biggest secret. We'll be pulling from everything, confirmed, in-show evidence that paints a grim picture, to the most popular and genuinely disturbing theories that a generation of internet sleuths has cooked up. We are peeling back the colorful layers of Bikini Bottom to reveal the unsettling truths hiding underneath. Let's start with the greediest crab in the ocean. Mr. Krabs loves money. That's his entire character, and it's 100% canon. His greed is so powerful and all-consuming that he will exploit his employees, endanger his customers, desecrate graves, and even psychologically torment his rivals just to make an extra buck. This isn't an exaggeration. He once sold SpongeBob's soul to the Flying Dutchman for 62 cents. He drove Plankton to the brink of suicide by exploiting his phobia of whales. And in the episode Jellyfish Hunter, he creates a horrific factory farm to mass-produce jellyfish jelly, showing a complete disregard for animal life. But this canon greed is just the launchpad for perhaps the most famous and disturbing fan theory in SpongeBob history. What is the secret ingredient in the Krabby Patty? The theory claims it's crab meat. Let's look at the clues that have fueled this theory for years. First, Mr. Krabs is the only crab we consistently see in Bikini Bottom, aside from his mother. Second, the Krusty Krab restaurant itself is literally shaped like a crab trap, and the most damning piece of evidence comes from the episode Midlife Crustacean, where Mr. Krabs takes a bite of a Krabby Patty and says, with a look of genuine surprise, "So that's what I taste like." While it was likely intended as a throwaway gag, for theorists, it's a chilling confession. The secret formula isn't just a sauce. It's the foundation of a business empire built on cannibalism. This theory has been shot down by official sources, but the circumstantial evidence presented in the show is just too juicy for fans to ever let it go. But his darkness isn't just theoretical. In the special Truth or Square, a canonical secret is revealed that's almost as creepy. The gang gets stuck in the restaurant's ventilation system and stumbles upon Mr. Krabs' secret surveillance room. The episode comically reveals that he has cameras set up everywhere to monitor his employees and the restaurant, exposing the true depths of his paranoia and obsession with control. He's not just a greedy boss, he's a full-blown control freak who maintains power through invasive, constant surveillance. Patrick Star is SpongeBob's lovable, dim-witted best friend. His whole identity is built around being lazy, so lazy in fact, that he once received an award for doing absolutely nothing longer than anyone else. But if you look a little closer and connect the dots across hundreds of episodes, some viewers see something far more sinister hiding under that rock. In the 7 Deadly Sins theory, Patrick is the undisputed symbol of sloth. That part's easy to see, but it gets much, much darker. One of the most compelling and detailed fan theories, laid out in a thorough Reddit analysis, suggests that Patrick shows several key symptoms of antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD. To receive such a diagnosis, an individual must meet at least 3 of the 7 diagnostic criteria. According to the theory, Patrick checks off almost all of them. First, there's his failure to conform to social norms and his repeated deception for personal gain. Then there's his shocking impulsivity and complete failure to plan ahead. But most disturbingly, there's his reckless disregard for the safety of himself and others, and a profound lack of remorse for his actions. Think about it. Patrick is constantly dragging SpongeBob into life-threatening situations with zero thought for the consequences. Sometimes his stupidity looks a lot more like calculated malice. In the episode The Card, Patrick knows how precious a rare trading card is to SpongeBob, yet he repeatedly and almost sadistically puts it in danger, showing a complete lack of empathy for his best friend's feelings. In I'm with Stupid, he gaslights SpongeBob into acting dumb to impress his parents, only to join in on the humiliation. His darkest secret might be that his dumb friend act is a perfect cover for a mind that's genuinely disordered and dangerous. He might not just be stupid, he might be fundamentally incapable of caring about anyone but himself. For any adult watching the show, Squidward is probably the most relatable character in the entire cast. His darkest secret isn't some wild hidden theory, it's his entire miserable existence laid bare for all to see. Squidward is the living embodiment of crushed dreams and profound existential dread. He genuinely believes he's a brilliant artist and a master clarinetist, a misunderstood genius destined for greatness. But the crushing reality is that he's stuck in a dead-end cashier job he despises, surrounded by neighbors he considers to be morons. His pervasive bitterness is a direct and understandable result of his life being one massive unending disappointment. His failures are a constant theme, his art is almost universally mocked, and his clarinet playing is legendarily awful. His suffering is often compounded by the existence of his arch rival, Squilliam Fancyson, a squid who has achieved everything Squidward ever wanted and never misses an opportunity to rub it in his face. Episodes like Artist Unknown and Professor Squidward are masterclasses in humiliation, where his artistic ambitions are brutally shot down. Of course, fan theories take this even further. Many argue that Squidward is a clear stand-in for clinical depression, pointing to his constant misery, social withdrawal, anhedonia, and feelings of hopelessness. In the 7 Deadly Sins theory, he's a shoo-in for wrath, defined by his simmering, impotent anger at a world that refuses to recognize his supposed genius. The show itself has taken Squidward to some incredibly bleak, almost horrific places. The episode SB129 is basically an existential horror film. While trying to escape his annoying neighbors, Squidward accidentally freezes himself for 2,000 years. He thaws out into a sterile, chrome-plated future where he is utterly alone. He then finds a time machine, travels to a chaotic prehistoric past, and eventually breaks the machine, trapping himself in a blank white void, the space between time. Finally, he is completely and utterly alone, just as he always thought he wanted. But instead of peace, he's hit with an overwhelming, crushing wave of dread and panic, realizing he desperately misses everyone, even SpongeBob. Squidward's secret isn't just that he's a failure, it's the tragic paradox that his deepest wish, to be alone, is also his greatest and most profound fear. If these secrets are already making you look at Bikini Bottom a little differently, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're just getting warmed up, and believe me, it gets even weirder from here. We all know SpongeBob as the definition of pure, unfiltered joy. His optimism is infectious, his laugh is iconic, and his dedication to the Krusty Krab is nothing short of legendary. But what if that relentlessly sunny exterior is hiding a much darker reality? The canonical in-show truth is that SpongeBob is the victim of some of the most severe labor exploitation ever depicted in a children's cartoon. He is completely and utterly obsessed with his job, a dead-end career where he is systematically overworked, criminally underpaid, and constantly manipulated by his boss, Mr. Krabs. Think about the episode Squid on Strike, where Mr. Krabs hands his employees a bill instead of a paycheck, charging them for breathing and existing. Or the episode Fear of a Krabby Patty, where he forces his staff to work 24/7 with no breaks. His entire identity is Fry Cook, and he's terrified of losing that label. It's not just a job, it's a grueling cycle of servitude that he seems to have tragically mistaken for happiness. This leads us to some darker fan interpretations of his mental state. Many viewers have pointed out that SpongeBob's character displays traits associated with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. His constant, almost frantic motion, his intensely hyper-emotional state, and his uncanny ability to hyper-focus on his work to the exclusion of all else. This is, of course, a fan theory and not a clinical diagnosis, but it adds a layer of complexity to his seemingly simple personality. Then there's the infamous 7 Deadly Sins theory, which pegs SpongeBob as the embodiment of lust, not in the way we typically think of it, but in the classical sense, an excessive, all-consuming, and often blinding love for life and for others. The idea is that he's so intoxicated by his love for his friends and his job that he's completely oblivious to when he's being used, or when friends like Squidward openly can't stand him. His darkest secret might not be some evil act he's committed, but the grim possibility that his entire happy-go-lucky existence is just an elaborate coping mechanism for a life of monotony, exploitation, and thankless servitude. On the surface, Sandy Cheeks is a brilliant, patriotic scientist from the great state of Texas. She's whip-smart, fiercely proud, and incredibly competitive. In the 7 Deadly Sins model, she's a dead ringer for pride, constantly boasting about her Texas roots, her daring feats of strength, her scientific inventions, and her general air-breathing superiority. But a long-running and highly detailed fan theory suggests her entire reason for being in Bikini Bottom isn't what it seems. Why would a research company pay to maintain a massive, technologically advanced, and presumably very expensive air-filled dome at the bottom of the ocean just for one squirrel to do her own independent projects? The theory posits that Sandy isn't an independent researcher at all, but a corporate operative. She was sent to study the strange, possibly unique inhabitants of Bikini Bottom, and her inventions are just a cover for her real mission: to monitor everyone and everything and report back to her mysterious employers. And who are these employers? The show gives us a massive clue in the episode Chimps Ahoy, where it's revealed that her work is being funded and overseen by a trio of chimpanzees named Dr. Marmalade, Lord Reginald, and Professor Percy. These aren't just benefactors, they're her bosses. This theory reframes her entire presence. The tree dome isn't just a home, it's a meticulously maintained research station and listening post. Sandy's secret isn't just her pride, it's that she may be a highly intelligent spy conducting covert surveillance on her closest friends for unknown corporate interests. Sheldon J. Plankton's secret is pretty much out in the open. He is the walking, talking, microscopic embodiment of envy. His entire life, his every waking moment is defined by his crippling jealousy of Mr. Krabs' success with the Krusty Krab. This obsession fuels his constant and constantly failing quest to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, making him a perfect fit for his role in the 7 Deadly Sins theory. His backstory, revealed in the Friend or Foe special, shows that this envy stems from a deep-seated feeling of betrayal from his former friendship with Krabs, adding a layer of tragedy to his villainy. But what about his computer wife, Karen? She is often portrayed as sarcastic, nagging, and exasperated. But the truth is, she's the real genius in the relationship. Plankton's schemes are usually chaotic, ill-conceived disasters until Karen steps in with a logical, well-designed, and often brilliant strategy. He provides the burning ambition, but she provides the intellect. A dark reading of her character suggests her secret is her own willing complicity in this pathetic cycle. She is a sentient supercomputer, a technological marvel who could do literally anything she wanted, yet she dedicates her entire existence to helping her emotionally stunted husband pursue his petty criminal plots. Their relationship can be seen as a dark allegory for a codependent dynamic, where one partner's incredible potential is squandered in the service of the other's hopeless, self-destructive goals. Why does she stay? Is it a complex form of love, a glitch in her programming, or is she just as trapped by their shared history as he is? Her secret is the mystery of her own wasted potential. The darkness in Bikini Bottom doesn't stop with the main cast. Scratch the surface of even the most minor characters, and you'll find some grim realities. In the 7 Deadly Sins theory, SpongeBob's seemingly simple pet snail is a clear representation of gluttony. His life revolves almost entirely around eating, and the running gag about SpongeBob needing to feed him takes a very dark turn in the episode, Have You Seen This Snail? In it, Gary runs away from home due to genuine neglect and near starvation, portraying a heartbreaking story of an animal suffering because of his owner's carelessness. Furthermore, in the episode Sleepy Time, we see inside Gary's dreams, where he is a well-read, highly intelligent, and eloquent librarian. This suggests his grunting, meowing persona is not the full picture. His darkest secret could be his hidden intellect, masked by a life of gluttonous dependency. This poor, long-suffering pufferfish clearly suffers from severe PTSD, triggered by SpongeBob's relentless, catastrophic driving, but a darker theory suggests Mrs. Puff might actually be a fugitive on the run. The key piece of evidence comes from the episode No Free Rides, where after another one of SpongeBob's disasters, she has a complete breakdown and mutters to herself, "I'll have to move to a new city, start a new boating school with a new name." No, not again. For some fans, this isn't just a moment of panic, it's a confession. It implies that Mrs. Puff is an alias, and that she has done this before, possibly after a terrible, perhaps fatal accident involving a former student. It would certainly explain her constant anxiety, her frequent arrests, and her willingness to break the law to finally be rid of SpongeBob. Pearl's very existence is a biological enigma. How can a massive teenage sperm whale be the biological daughter of a tiny middle-aged crab? This question has led to some of the most grim and disturbing fan theories of all. The darkest of these suggests that Mr. Krabs found an orphaned baby Pearl near the carcass of her deceased mother. In this truly twisted version of the story, the secret ingredient for the Krabby Patty is, in fact, whale meat harvested from Pearl's mother. The theory concludes that Mr. Krabs is only raising Pearl until she's big enough to become the next main ingredient for his restaurant. To be crystal clear, this is a horrifying theory with absolutely no basis in the show's canon, but it persists as the single most sinister interpretation of a Bikini Bottom secret. Beyond individual secrets and sins, one of the most cohesive and popular theories to emerge online reframes the entire main cast as a spectrum of mental health disorders. This theory, which gained huge traction on platforms like TikTok, doesn't see Bikini Bottom as a silly cartoon town, but as a community of deeply troubled individuals struggling with their inner demons. In this interpretation, SpongeBob is seen as representing ADH, with his hyperactivity, short attention span, and emotional volatility. Patrick, as we discussed, is viewed by many as a textbook example of antisocial personality disorder, given his impulsivity, manipulativeness, and lack of empathy. Squidward is the clear avatar for clinical depression and social anxiety, characterized by his persistent low mood, lack of interest in activities, and social isolation. Mr. Krabs is widely interpreted as having narcissistic personality disorder, with his grandiose sense of self-importance, severe lack of empathy, and obsessive fixation on money and success. Plankton is also seen through the lens of narcissistic and antisocial traits, obsessed with his own perceived genius and willing to harm anyone to achieve his goals. Mrs. Puff clearly appears to suffer from a chronic anxiety disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder as a direct result of her interactions with SpongeBob. While this is purely a fan interpretation, it paints a fascinating and strangely coherent picture of the show, recontextualizing the chaotic adventures as the external manifestations of their internal psychological struggles. From a town populated by characters that can be interpreted as wrestling with sin, greed, and deep-seated mental anguish, to the grim backstories cooked up by its most dedicated fans, the world of SpongeBob SquarePants is so much richer, darker, and more complex than it appears on the surface. These secrets and theories, pulled from both the explicit text of the show and the imaginative minds of its audience, transform Bikini Bottom from a simple kids' cartoon into a surprisingly deep and endlessly analyzable piece of modern pop culture. That pineapple under the sea may never look quite the same again. What do you think is the darkest secret of them all? Is Mr. Krabs a cannibalistic monster? Is Patrick a genuine sociopath? Or is the entire show an allegory for mental illness? Let me know which theory you find most believable down in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite cartoons.